guys, I got a visitor. Got my puppy dog here. So we're going to finish going through your notes, your PowerPoint notes. These are page 68 in your notes. So I'm just going to finish going over what we didn't do the other day. So the only thing we didn't finish talking about is art and literature. We know that artists and writers are not going to sit down and take time to write a book or a poem or paint a picture that they don't feel like is going to be sold during that time period, because people just don't have extra money to spend on it. So the federal government actually creates a program as part of the WPA, the Works Progress Administration. They call it the Federal Arts Project, so that artists and writers can still make money during this time period. They can document the times. It's super important. We've got, movies will be made about what's going on now. Books will be written. Shows will be made, because history is in the making. We are living it right now. So that the federal arts program was made to pay them to document the times during the Great Depression. We know that John Steinbeck writes his book, Grapes of Wrath. You've got Grant Wood. If you're looking at the PowerPoint and you see the picture of the farmer and his wife, one of the more famous photos that's made during that time period, not paintings, I meant paintings, not photos. It's hilarious. I love it. I think it's so much fun looking at it, because looking at the farmer and his wife, the wife is looking at the husband like, OMG, I can't believe you made us come out here and we're struggling and it's awful and I'm going to poison you in your sleep kind of thing, that's just the attitude that she's bringing when you look at her eyes. It's all in her eyes. So that's all thanks to the federal art program paying writers and authors to document the times. Let's see what else we got. Entertainment. I told you guys the story about the radio show the other day that Orson Welles and his book War of the Worlds, they thought would be a great idea to read on the radio. And if people tuned in and didn't hear to begin with what it was, they would think that, OMG, we really do have, what is it, aliens that are landing. And so people freaked out. They locked themselves in their basement for like a week until they thought things were good. People were raiding stores. People were calling the police department. And they finally had to stop the program and say, this is a recording of Orson Welles' book, War of the Worlds. We're just reading it for your entertainment this afternoon. This is a book. This is not real life. So they had to stop and say that several times so that people would chill out and not think that, oh my God, it's real. We really do have aliens. I know. Puppy kisses. All right, children's programs, Green Hornet, Lone Ranger were radio programs that become TV programs in the 40s and 50s that will later become movies today, 20th century, 21st century, really. Soap operas, variety shows, game shows, all that's what's going to be played on the radio. Famous actors and actresses, Judy Garland and Shirley Temple. People in Europe love Shirley Temple. There's a book that we're going to talk about when we talk about the Holocaust, that she was a twin and the twin studies during the Holocaust, and she said she remembers in Europe, and I believe she's from Hungary, says that she remembers going to the movie theaters and seeing Shirley Temple films. It's so crazy. So there's gangster films, obviously, Prohibition. You want to see stuff like that. Anything that's happened in real life, they're making movies about. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, It's a Wonderful Life, which actually a lot of people watch now as a Christmas tradition. So that's pretty cool that those movies, both of which are black and white and both of which are still very popular today, came about during the 1930s. The ones we've already talked about, Gone with the Wind, comes out in 1939. They do have the technology for it to be a color film, but choose to keep it black and white. Black and white is just considered to be classic, and people still like the look of it. Wizard of Oz comes out in 1939. We said the biggest thing is that we see the transition from black and white to color, and people in the audience experiencing that ooh feeling whenever it does that. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was, no puppy kisses, was Walt Disney's first full-length action motion picture. It is color. You should test yourself to see without looking how many of the Seven Dwarfs you can actually name. You'd be surprised. I bet you won't get them, but you can try. You've got pictures, if you've never seen the movies, by the end of the 1930s, still in the Great Depression, still struggling. I've already told you the answer several times that it actually takes us getting out of, or getting into World War II to actually get us up and going again in the economy. It says, I see a third of a nation that is ill-housed, ill-clad, and ill-nourished. There are people even after World War II that are still at or below the poverty line that never see us recover from the Great Depression, and we'll talk about those people once we get into the 50s and 60s a little bit later on. And Johnson, who we'll talk about after JFK's assassination, Johnson, who takes over, will actually push for a war on poverty to help those that struggled since the 1930s and on. Government starts to pull programs back. Again, it's another experiment to see if things are doing better. And if they are doing better, then we can take away some of that government relief and assistance. And we go right back into a recession. Again, we're still not good, but the government's going to start watching what's going on overseas, because in Europe, everything begins in 1936, progresses pretty quickly through to 1939 with the Holocaust getting started, World War II starting in Europe, but we don't get involved until 1941. So keep that in mind. That is coming. So that is the end of your PowerPoint notes. That ends the New Deal. Again, use tomorrow. Use Friday to finish any of your review sheets. Answer your bell ringers. Submit everything by Friday, and we'll start fresh. Introing to World War II on Monday. Bye, guys.